I'm not mistaken, whilst looking at the front pages of, Nigerian newspapers, we actually saw a story that, speaks to this 15% fuel import duty, right? But let's quickly, introduce our guest. Defolarin Olamilekon. He is an economic expert and is joining us live via telephone this morning. Adefolarin, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Omita. Good morning to
Good.
all of you. I believe Daniel is there. Good
Yes,
morning to
good
Right.
you,
morning
Daniel.
to you, Sir Adefolarin, and welcome aboard.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So, Mr. Defalarin, we're looking at the 15%, import duty on fuel and diesel, as announced by the federal government last week, Friday. And at the time, we saw marketers even expressing fears that, this is definitely going to jack up, the price of premium motor spirit. And we know how that will trickle down. But just this morning, we've seen the CPPE endorse, the 15% fuel import duty. And also, some economists are saying that this 15% fuel import duty is a step in the right direction because it is going to prioritize local refining and also industry or industrial growth. We don't know if your thoughts are any different as an economist. How do you see this policy in the first place?
For me, it's a welcome development, although I may have a different, a lefty connotation of why I'm supporting this particular policy of the government, far away from most of the mainstream development economists, because as political economists, we look at it, both the left side of the policy and the right side of the policy. And for me, it is the left side of the policy, which in a way was one of those policies that resonate, one of the key policies of the colonized countries in Africa have been pursuing over the years. And what do I mean by that? There was a time in between 1970 to 1985, there was a policy called import substitution policy for African countries who are so import dependent in a way. So they came up with a policy called import substitution so that they can industrialize their country. And one of the key products of that import substitution policy was that they should have a tariff, import tariff, against imported goods so that goods they know they can locally produce comfortably. Those goods will be discouraged from being imported. And that's why I'm happy that this kind of policy is coming at this point in time. And again, this policy is not new in Nigeria. The import tariff that we are seeing today, that is 15%, was at a point in time was 7%, was at the point in time 9%, was at the point in time 10%. So it is not a new policy that is just coming. The challenge that we are faced is because for over 10, 15 years, importation of PMS have taken charge of our oil and gas sector to the point that we now depend so much on it, to the point that a lot of individuals with no office, with no job portfolio moving here and there importing PMS to the country become the kingmaker who will determine Nigerian economy. But at this point in time, less of Dangote refinery is coming on board, less of Watts refinery is coming on board, less of Watersmith refinery is coming on board, and other smaller refineries are all coming on board. So this is for import that we get more than 40 years ago in a way through our import tariff that we are not talking about. So it's a winning situation for Nigeria. If we can get this right from oil and gas sector, every other product that we can locally produce, that we have been so much important to the country, we cannot have a change in policy against them. I'll give you another typical example. We produce solar panel in this country. We have material for solar cells to be produced for renewable energy in Nigeria. A federal government company is established to be producing solar panel in Nigeria. You know what is happening? We are still importing solar panel into the country and discouraging a government-owned company that's supposed to be producing solar panel for us. So it's a welcome development, I would say, and I really acknowledge that most economists are supporting it, although we still have a lot of economists that are writing, talking against this kind of policy, and those kind of people, I think they are very, very unpatriotic when it comes to Nigerian industrialization going forward.
All right, Mr. Defolarin, another bone of contention here would be the fact that our local refineries they seem not to be working even after they were rehabilitated. I know that conversation actually, came to the fore recently, and even Sarah had even issued, a statement in that regard that money should be accounted for. Monies, used to rehabilitate these, refineries in Nigeria, talking about the Warri, Port Harcourt, and the rest. How is it that we're still importing petrol despite, how much monies have been spent to rehabilitate these refineries?
I think you see this question that I've just asked you. We should be directing that question to labor unions in the oil and gas sector.
Oh, okay.
In 2007, when Obasanjo tried to privatize that sector by selling those 4 refineries out, who kicked against it? The union. Earlier in when during Jonathan period, it was the union that also kicked against the revitalization of those refineries. I mean, I'm talking of national refineries, 4 of them. I never worked. Then under Buhari, he came up with all manner of policies to ensure that those refineries work. They never allowed it to work. Then Tinubu also came with opportunity to ensure that the policy of revitalizing the refinery work. They're already planning and doing all the mago to ensure that this refinery does not work. The key question is this: governments have business in business, but the way and manner that unionism have crippled government businesses is where we are having issues. Although they are not doing it alone, they are doing it in connivance with government officials who don't believe that government have to be doing business. As we speak today, the current NNPC is modeled after Saudi Aramco company. It's modeled after Russian oil company. It's modeled after Brazilian oil company. But guess what? They ensure that the union aspect of controlling and ensuring that bureaucratic network in working does not happen. But here in Nigeria, over 5,600 NNPC workers, with over 3,000 of them working at the refinery, and the refinery that have not been producing for how many years, are collecting salary. In a senior climb, those workers are supposed to be relieved of their duty and let them go. But here in Nigeria, union citizenship. That's on one part. On the other part, the cost of the shenanigans within the government circle. People believe the NNPC will remain a cash cow for them, continue to milk that sector, and that's why the refinery never works. But goodness has come. With the current GMD of NNPC, they are carrying out 3 assessment evaluation of the entire refinery as you speak right now. And what they want to do is to ensure that they bring in technical partner that will help them to succeed. But one thing we must all support NNPC to do at this point in time, when they will be revitalizing those refineries, they are going to lay off workers and they are going to pay them off. Nigerians should support the revitalization of that place, because if we don't, if we allow union and labor union to kick against such activities, then those refineries will remain the way it is, and it will continue to gulp up money. The about 13 billion that gulp up in terms of revitalization, where did the money go? It went into salaries and allowances given to workers, and many of us are not asking questions there. So for me, it is a very dysfunctional system whereby we have allowed bureaucratic nature of workers who are not contributing anything to continue to determine the fate of a dying refinery. Until we get it right with that level, and that's what I believe that we can get it right when it comes to revitalization of our 4 refineries, particularly national refineries. But for me, I support government-owned refineries, and the current stance of NNPC is that it must be in a partnership. And that partnership means that those people coming to NNPC to work with them on that refineries, they are going to bring technicality. They are bringing new equipment, new models. So one of the things they may end up doing that they have to lay off staff, and we must support them in that regard and let them pay them up so that we can have our own refinery working the way Dangote refinery is working. The thing we have noticed in the refineries is that they are sabotaged, particularly those ones that belong to all those Tenjatan, Nuken, and the rest of them who bring and cause harm in that sector.
All right, well, Sir Abdul, you've spoken comprehensive wisdom. However, quite a number of Nigerians would beg to disagree with the fact that the bureaucracy that's going on, I mean, the bottlenecks will indeed be stamped out. I mean, we've seen historically the fact that we've been struggling with fuel scarcity as well as importation challenges. Only in 2024 did the Dangote refinery, which happens to be the Africa's largest refinery, beginning operations. And this began to mark a significant milestone, I mean, in Nigeria's quest for energy self-sufficiency. However, the same refinery has faced competition from cheap imports, which has hindered its ability to operate at a full capacity. Now, the good news would now be, as you said, that Mr. You are asking Nigerians to throw their weight behind the 15% import duty on petrol to address the issue. However, there are some concerns that this policy is aiming. This policy is expected to increase petrol prices by approximately 99 naira to a liter. And it's aiming to promote local refining capacity and reduce dependence on imported fuel. To reduce dependence on imported fuel. And it brings us to the question. I mean, the Yuletide is already around the corner, Sir De Falari, and it's almost seeming as though it's a usual rhetoric. That when we get to this period, we'll start finding scarcity, we'll start finding...
Fuel scarcity, cash scarcity,
cash scarcity,
hike in the price of gas, cooking gas,
a lot
petrol,
of it.
Hike in transportation fare.
Exactly.
And the list is endless.
The list is endless. Would this also address these issues?
In a simple term, last year, December, did we experience any price scarcity in Nigeria? Last year, 24 December, between November and December to January to early part of 2025 that we are in, did we experience price scarcity in December Christmas period? Did we experience high cost of cooking gas in Nigeria that period? And that was the same period that we are still importing and Dangote was producing. But guess what? Dangote brought down its price to 870 naira as of December last year. The people who claim to be importer, what did they do in the next minute? They also brought down their price. But this is what I want you guys to understand when it comes to import business. Import business prices are not shaped by taxes. It is shaped by the greed of the people who operate that business. And I will explain further. This is how it happens. When Dangote brought down his price to 870, those guys were importing. And at that point in time, the import tariff 9% in Nigeria. How come that 9% import tariff never affected their price? When Dangote brought his SW down to 870, they quickly brought their own down also to around 900 naira. And you could also recall, before that period, petrol was selling between 1,050 naira, 1,100 naira. But the moment Dangote came with his game changing, the price of petrol came down to 890 at filling station. So many questions we could be directed to people who are claiming that import tariffs will definitely bring this price up. Is that import tariff at this point in time in Nigeria is too small to allow price of fuel to go up. I will give you another scenario. When crude price, international crude price is falling, and they are selling crude oil price between $59 per barrel and the rest of them. What do you expect to happen to the price of PMS that they will go and import? The price will also shrink. So no matter how the 15% any government want to put on an imported PMS, the price will further shrink on international level. So it will be reflective on local price, and that price will also shrink. But here is the confusion that many of us are finding difficult to understand. These guys are businessmen. They have made money, and they don't want to relent in continue to make money from the importation of PMS in Nigeria. Although some of them are beginning to agree that this 15% is okay, but what they are challenging is to increase the price of PMS to 1,200. For me, it is wrong. It is very, very wrong. In the sense that as long as the crude oil price is falling below $50 per barrel, the price of PMS being imported from Belgium, from Norway, from Germany, supposed to also come down. So when you now add the price of international PMS and add your 15%, the price should be competitive and even more cheaper than Dangote. That's how it's supposed to be, because you are not adding any value. You just go and bring it, and you bring it to the country, you pay 15% tariff, and you transport it to your depot, and you do all those. Even them, I mean, 15% tariff they are paying. How much is Dangote paying on taxes of his production alone? We should be asking ourselves that way. And that to mean that Dangote is even paying more taxes on his local production than people who are bringing people who are paying 15%, because they don't have much staff, they don't pay salary, they don't pay as much salary as Dangote is paying, they don't have tankers, they only have depot where people will come and buy from them and take it away. But Dangote have all this value chain in the oil and gas sector. So what are we saying? What I'm trying to put out is this. The greed in the system is what is making them to make the announcement and making the threat that the price will go up to 1,200. But for those of us who have understood some of these mechanisms within the oil and gas sector, we know that the greed is what is keeping them. As of today, crude oil is now $69. for WTI. It is now $60 for Brent price. Then OPEC is $51. So what does that translate? It translates that the price of oil byproduct in the crude oil will definitely go down in low prices. So when you import PMS to the country or diesel into the country, it should be expecting that it should be a cheaper price, even than that of Dangote as we speak right now.
Adefolarin, you actually threw a question, at myself and Yudi earlier, whether or not there was fuel scarcity this time last year. But whether or not there was fuel scarcity, that's not even a bone of contention. Was there, a significant hike in transportation, fare at this time last year? I guess the answer is yes, Mr. Adefolarin. However,
but, okay, let me quickly intervene in that regard. Now, it wasn't. If you check out the opinions of transporters at that point in time, the transporter who was increasing their transport for long journey, Lagos to Calabar, Lagos to, it wasn't because of where they were increasing their transport.
So what were the indices?
It was because of the issue within our insecurity is part of it. And again, if you also remember that at that point it is rush hour. People want to travel. And it's also a season that people will spend money. It wasn't because of where they increase their transport.
So we should expect the same.
And other issues that have to, particularly issue of insecurity and bad news that
we should expect the same this year too. Is that your projection? And we should not
definitely. And Dangote is already planning for that. Dangote is planning for that. This other modular refinery in Niger Delta who are already releasing their own PMS, all of them are planning for a bumper affordable PMS for Nigeria. You know one good thing about this policy? For years, I've been on your show for many times and also discussed energy prices on my show, the market report. But for years, we've been canvassing for opportunity for local refineries to be boosted. And one of the key challenges that I've noticed is that if we allow a 40% importation of PMS into the country as against the 55% that we are locally refined, it will affect further development of local refineries. In Brazil, it is 8% importation of PMS they are doing. In US, it is 10% they are doing. In Saudi Arabia, it is less than 5% they are doing in terms of importation. Because one thing we cannot rule out, importation. But that importation should not be significant. As we have it in Nigeria, importation of PMS in Nigeria is 45% as against local refinery of 55%. Who can cope with that kind of scenario?
Well, whose fault is that when the local refineries are not working? Let me also ask you, Adefolarin, in a bid to discourage imported fuel, from coming into the country and also to encourage local refining, will that also address, the price differentials that we always see, across the country in terms of how much, the product is being sold for? Because today NNPC is selling at, a certain amount of money or price. Dangote is selling at. So it's really complicated. How do we really get this, issues addressed? once and for all.
Interesting question you have asked. One is that if the price from S depot, let's quickly do the technical aspect of all this PMS price. Now, there's what they call the S depot price. The S depot price is at the amount that Dangote is selling. If you bring your tanker and buy from its price. In Lagos right now, it is 870 or 880. You pick it at Dangote refinery. Now, for those people who are in Lagos, they are buying fuel at 900 naira. And if you buy at Dangote MRS outlet, including NNPC is selling at 920. Now, the issue is this. If you are buying from an import PMS retail outlet, let me say like AA Rano, permit me to mention their name, AA Rano, Achafa, and the rest of them. These guys are importer of PMS. Now, if you go to their filling station, the S depot price that Achafa is selling is at Lagos it's around 900 naira. Now, the problem of transportation from Lagos to Abuja is that bringing your tanker to Abuja is cost at 60 naira. So anywhere across Nigeria, you must add 60 naira to your. If you buy it at 870, you must add 60 naira or 60 naira to it, depending on where you are taking it. Now, it's not that each filling station. Each filling station has its own miscellaneous prices. Like 10 naira, like 20 naira, they will add. For instance, if you go to NNPC in Nasarawa, that's Maraba area, they will sell for you at 930. Now, the 15 naira has been added. Now, the manager of that filling station will add 10 naira or 20 naira to make his own gain. for the maintenance of that filling station. That could be an agreement between the owner and the manager. Now, if you go to an MRS filling station, it will not be more than 900 to 920 because in that kind of filling station, it has already been monitored by MRS and Dangote. So you can understand that differentiation. Now, if you go to far north, apart from the 15 naira they will add, they will also add another miscellaneous spending like 13 naira, depending on where you are buying in a retail. In Asokoro, where I am right now, filling station will not, like MRS is selling at 920, 900, 920, depending on how they make their arrangement. But they go far into a filling station that doesn't have direct buying. Direct buying in the sense that they don't have that power to purchase a 15 million or to 23 million to get a tanker. They will buy what they call discharge. Two people can bring their money together and buy. Those kind of filling stations, that's why you see that they have to sell today, they don't have. This kind of filling station, they will sell at 1,000 naira for you because they are making excess, because they pay extra to get their product in. And that's why you have support. If you have a cheaper fuel coming from the refinery, all these human rights crises that I've just mentioned will definitely also come down. Say, for instance, Dangote begin to sell at 700 naira LDL price. Why in Nigeria will not be more than 800 naira? That's just the calculation.
Okay. All right, well, we'll put a break to your thoughts now. Open the phone lines, get to hear from family members. But just before we do so as well, we have got to go and pay some bills. When we do come back, Sir DeFalari, we will connect with you. Right. Well, we'll head out now, pay some bills. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio. Eagles 102.3.
We invite the leadership of all cooperatives to a one-day workshop themed My Cooperative, Changing Lives for the Better. We recognize the significance of all cooperatives to achieving its members' welfare objectives of providing affordable housing, food, education, and sustainable standard of living, thereby enhancing their overall well-being, performance, and retirement. This one-day workshop is made up of 3 parts. 1. Functions of the cooperative in 2025 and beyond. 2. Is the management of the cooperative the problem, the essence of leadership. And 3. Let's help your members retire at 100 years old. Let your money work for you. Venue: Freedom Matters Plaza, 112 Oladipo Dia Street, Gudu, just beside Bakan Gizo Stores at High Court Junction, Gudu, Abuja. Date: choose any convenient date from 3rd to 7th of November 2025. Time: 9 a.m. prompt. Register early. Simply call 0706 498 6275. That is 0706 498 6275 or 0808 883 7426. Again, 0808 883 7426. My Cooperative, changing lives for the better. This workshop is powered by My Abuja Home Limited. My Abuja Home. Live the life.
Whether you're flying for a family celebration or a much-needed reunion, fly Emirates and start your holiday on board. Explore up to 6,500 channels of entertainment, including live sports. Stay connected with onboard Wi-Fi. Enjoy special meals and toys for kids and relax in comfort with world-class service all the way. Choose from over 150 destinations, including Dubai, India, the UK and USA. Book now at Emirates.com. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Any motor where you dey drive, you need confirm protection, no. For your engine, no. Make a mobile, make it mobile, no. Make it mobile, yeah. Anywhere you dey, your motor deserve to be number 1, yo. Make it mobile, no. Make it mobile, yeah. You carry the go, make everybody join me, say. Make it mobile.
Make you go with the best.
Make it mobile.
Things they happen for our community, eh?
Now I can recoup back all the money I have spent on this annoying family.
Hey, yeah. That one my own don't finish.
My dear, let's go and greet them, okay?
Hey! Join Media Coalition and Awareness to hold trafficking, MICAS, on I Wish I Knew radio drama and program every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Join us to kick human trafficking, out of our society. I Wish I Knew radio drama and program is brought to you by Mikas and funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark.
The African University of Science and Technology, Abuja, AUST, announces that admissions are now open for application into our remedial and A-level JUPE programs for 100-level and direct 200-level admission. Professional diplomas in data science, artificial intelligence, Cisco and AWARE certification, project management, construction management, and more. Undergraduate degrees in civil engineering, mechanical engineering, petroleum and energy resources engineering, material and metallurgical engineering, software engineering, computer science, business administration, and accounting. Postgraduate programs, MSc, and PhD in cutting-edge fields like aerospace engineering, space physics, systems engineering, geoinformatics and GIS, pure and applied mathematics, computer science, theoretical and applied physics, material science and engineering, petroleum and energy resources engineering, and MSc only in public policy, public administration, management of information technology, applied statistics, and mathematical modeling. Call 003-540-3714 or 006-272-9310 or visit www.aust.edu.ng.
Please listen to these announcements. Push Africa is organizing a free CNA and caregiver training seminar. Date 1st November 2025. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Venue ADBF Hall, African University of Science and Technology, Galadimawa, Abuja. Access is free. Come learn about the benefits and opportunities of the Push Africa healthcare training. Don't forget to invite someone. For more enquiries, please call 080-3394-2015. Again, 080-3394-2015. Be there.
Please listen to this infomercial.
Girl, your skin is glowing. What's your secret?
It's no secret, it's Gentle Touch Spa and Salon in Abuja. They gave me the best relaxing massage last weekend. I felt brand new.
Really? I've been needing that kind of pampering. Do they only do spa stuff?
Not at all. They do facials, body scrubs, waxing, and even natural hair treatments. I even got my braids done there, neat and classy. They also handle dreadlocks, wig revamping, hair coloring, gilly tying, manicure, pedicure, gel nails. Everything beauty in one place.
Wow, so it's like a full spa and salon in one?
Exactly. The vibe is luxurious, the staff are professional, and both men and women go there. Now the thing is, for every service you get at this spa, it's going to come with a generous discount. Once you experience it, you understand why it's called Gentle Touch.
I'm booking my session today.
Exactly. Please do that. And for you to book your session, call 080-9269-9269. Another number to reach out is 090-2410-6881. You can also visit them at number 2 Bolton Street, Sun City Estate, here in Abuja. Girl, go book that session. You will thank me later because everyone deserves the Gentle Touch.
Gentle Touch Spa and Salon. Luxury for everybody.
Thank you for staying with us. Still talking matters. The concern, Tinubu approving 15% import duty on petrol and diesel. And one big question has been, even if this holds so much gain for Nigerians, why is it coming now? At a time like this, when we are still in pain and agony, we're still languishing, we're still trying to recuperate from the whole Pengasyn Dangote issue and the rift and everything. Here we are again, having a 15% import duty on petrol and diesel. Well, our guest Defolari Olamilekon, who is a renowned expert economist, has said that he's throwing his weight behind this one here because the policy will indeed allow for us to have the product, and we will not fall short in whatever way. Maybe the pricing might just come down a little bit, but the question will now be, why now? Why now? Why do we have to wait till now to put out this policy? Why not earlier? As quite a number of Nigerians are saying. But what would be your intense thought line in this regard? Because some are also asking questions as to how will the import duty affect the overall economy and inflation rate, right? Because the implication is the increased cost of fuel could lead to higher prices of goods and services. And Nigerians are expecting that the government should monitor the impact of the policy on the economy and make adjustments as necessary. There is also the part of social impact. How will the policy affect low-income earners and vulnerable populations? Some big questions there. All right, what is the implication? So the increased cost of fuel could exacerbate poverty and inequality. It's no news anymore. We already know that. Fuel is a defining product within the Nigerian society, especially when it has to do with the economy.
Right.
So Nigerians expect that the government should provide support to lower income earners and vulnerable populations to mitigate the impact of the policies. But while we say support, not handouts, as some would say, is not to give you grants, monies. What do they call those monies again? When they say they give you 10,000 naira, 2,000 or 20,000 naira? Palliatives, okay, that's the word. Palliatives to cushion the effect. No, that's not what Nigerians are saying. Don't give us palliatives. But however, how can you help low-income earners? Didn't we just have, is it the bus terminal? Up until now, I don't know. Have you seen any buses at the bus terminal just yet? Is it helping to convey Nigerians from one part of the country at a very low price? Is it doing that? It's not even started yet. I'm not sure. But yes, we have it.
I think what is most likely at the end of the year would be the idea of slashing transportation fares, by 50%.
Right.
Just like the government, did last year. So maybe that's just going to be the respite Nigerians should, look at for. Because, one possible implication from this 15% import duty on petrol is the fact that it's going to jack up the pump price of, petrol.
Right.
And we know, of course. Well, Adefalarin just clarified that the reason why there's always a hike in transportation fare at this time of the year is not necessarily because of fuel scarcity, but because of security, security issues. And it's a rush hour. What do you mean by rush hour, though? What do you mean by that? Okay, it's rush hour where people want to travel back to their, their country homes or their villages to spend, the Yuletide with their loved ones. And then this policy is coming at a time when, Nigerians are bound to travel, want to travel and to spend, quite a lot of money, to celebrate the Yuletide. So the implication is the transport fare is going to even, triple this time around. So just tell us really what you make of this as a listener or as a Nigerian on the other side of the radio.
Right.
How realistic is this policy? Do you think it is ill-timed? Let's not also lose sight of the fact that this is going to discourage, the importation of petrol, and on the flip side, to boost, local refining. So let's just get your thoughts to all of this.
Really. All right, getting your thoughts now. The number would be 0907 353 0044. Giving you that number again, 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888. You can throw one in via the WhatsApp portal now, 0909 705 445 Well, that's a miss, though. Keep the calls coming through. Follow us across social media platforms, particularly on Facebook and YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja, and you will be glad that you did. 15% import duty, Mr. President has approved. So Adefalarin also made one comment where he said that when we hear about importation and all of that, that it is those who are in the business of importation that amplify it beyond what it is because they want to make profit.
Gains, yeah, profit.
So in other words, it's a case of now dog, they shop dog. Now us, they do us.
So the problems, they are self-induced.
That's right. And I guess that's what he called the bureaucracy and the bottlenecks, right? Because they have something to gain, and so they add whatever it is they wish to add, peg a price to it, and then push it out on us to bear the brunt of it. So you and I become the ones who are to pay the price, the ultimate price, that is. Yes, and it has been going on for years. So I guess that's why he says, as against what other people might speculate about this 15% increase, he says it's throwing his weight behind it, right? That it has some gains, that it will allow for lesser importation, because right now what it stands at is that the importation is at 65%, while local refining is at 40%. Yeah, that's what he says. And that it will do us good if we had importation at the higher side, while local refining,
refining
at the higher side, while importation very, very low,
or even eradicated.
Right?
But that is only dependent on how intentional we are with our local refineries.
Right.
Right.
Then when you say local refineries, Almore, my question is, when we say local refinery, are we talking about the BUA that is still, under completion, or the other refineries that still are in the works?
Okay, let's just tag the national refineries.
Oh, okay,
right,
okay.
I mean, Dangote refinery, for example, it's a local refinery because it's here in Nigeria, and it's actually working in full capacity. How about the national refineries that we have?
Yes.
Have they been up and running, despite the fact that they have been rehabilitated? Almost every administration, these refineries are actually, undergoing some sort of rehabilitation. And I know there was a time we asked, who are those benefiting from, the rehabilitation of these refineries?
That's
almost
right.
every administration.
Of course, we asked that question.
We seem not to even get answers to some of these questions.
Nobody has a face to them. Nobody can peg a face to them. And that's always the problem, because time in, time out, year in, year out, we keep talking the same things. Who are those accountable? Who are those we should hold accountable? But then there's nobody. Even though we will have NNPC GMDs come and go, yet we still have nobody, to indeed bring to book, to answer the question, to answer us. How are our monies being spent? But some would argue in favor of the illegal refineries. Now, can we not, find a way of
legalize
them, or get them into the system, properly regulate them, and all of that? That wouldn't it do us so much good, right? If we had these refineries come aboard legally. Sir Defalari, welcome back.
All right, thank you for having me.
Right. Well, we just had a quick recap of what we already had as a conversation earlier, and some thoughts have come to bear. One would be the fact that over time we hear illegal refineries being busted year in, year out. Oh, there's been some successes here and there and stuff like that. Operators have been arrested and all. And I recall some family members at one point say, why not we find a way of seeing to it that we legalize the illegal refineries and put them under some sort of supervision so that they can still contribute their quota. Are there any risks whatsoever in doing or making such a move?
I think very interesting question. I was saying, quite interesting submission from our family members, callers, and listeners. I think that has become one of those partial recognition. If you recall that the rebasing of the economy by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has already taken cognizance of that aspect of the economy, talking about illegal activity in the oil and gas sector, whereby illegal production of crude oil is now being calculated as part of the GDP. And I would say it will be a work in progress, although we may not expect government to quickly accept that right now. But what I believe will happen is this: if former refineries, like those small refinery of 30,000 capacity barrel crude oil production, if they can government can allow them to survive, to thrive. Most of these illegal refineries, most of those local refineries that are more or less like creating problems, particularly environmental challenges to their community. They will definitely be absorbed by those refineries that government has given license to. And I believe that would be the best way for us to be able to absorb. Because if government go outside and begin to take in all those illegal refineries, particularly those ones that are using crude in equipment to operate, environmentalists, climate change experts, and the rest of them may not understand the economic reasons behind it, but they may quickly come out to begin to call out government. I believe it's a work in progress. Let's see how those licensed local refineries of 30,000 capacity, 40,000 capacity barrel of crude oil can thrive successfully at this point in time. Within that period, as they're operating, those other guys are operating illegally. They'll come in, and don't forget that these are local technology that are being implemented by these guys using those crude equipment. By the time they begin to see how those other former refineries are working, someone may take this technology up and improve on it. Rather, another thing we can suggest to the government is that those like petrochemical institutions that we have seen across the board, is there a way they can collaborate with those young guys that are creating this crude equipment to refine crude oil and improve on their technology? And that would be the best way to go in my own direction in terms of submission on this particular issue.
All right, Mr. Defolarin, I mean, our time is already fast spent, but looking at one major implication of this policy, I mean, that would be increased cost of fuel. Marketers are already expressing that fear, and that would definitely lead to increased, all that. It is going to affect, the cost of living and economic activity in Nigeria. Is that to say that the days ahead are going to be gloomy for Nigerians? A yes or no response would do to wrap up the conversation.
For me, it's going to be, even if it's going to happen at this point, because we are still doing a 45% importation of PMS, it will be temporary, but it won't last long, because by the time the likes of refinery Dangote improve to 1.4 million barrels per day, and Wall Smith and Boa Cement all comes up with their own refinery, all this importation will definitely come. And let us advise the importer, let them put their money together, collect license from government. With $10 billion, with $5 billion, they can build refinery. These are just importing PMS into the country.
Okay. All right, Sir Defolarin, appreciate your time with us. You are an economist who has spanned season and time, and we don't take you for granted. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this is where we call it a close. We know that you were listening on the other side, probably wanting to gain knowledge, as most of your thoughts we have expressed as questions to our guest. And he has also attempted some expertly advice or answer in this regard. But at the 10 o'clock hour would be time for us to go into the general open banter. But at 9:55 this hour would be time for us to go talk in the business news. My name is Uduak Daniel.
And I am Omo Efe Peace Osemere. Good morning.